Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks again for coming on. Tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and we can start from there.
Okay, so I'm Mackenzie. A lot of people just call me Mac, it's just short form. I'm 25 and I live in Toronto, Canada. I was born and raised here. Um, Throughout my childhood, I was pretty active. I did softball and gymnastics throughout most of my childhood up until I was maybe 16, 15, 16. And then kind of carried on just being active throughout high school. And then when high school was finished, I decided that I needed to get out of the city a little bit. So I applied to university up north from where I am and ended up doing my degree in physical and health education. And then I did a diploma in recreation therapy just at the college close there. And then I did some little bit of traveling after. I lived in Spain for a couple months. And since then, I've enrolled in a holistic nutritionist program as well as a health coach. It's kind of like a double diploma. And I'm in the process of getting my personal training certification. Just trying to live through quarantine the best I can.
Was there one particular sport that you excelled at?
I think I did softball for a longer time than gymnastics, but it was kind of just a pastime thing. But gymnastics was like my main one. I was a competitive gymnast for, I don't know, 9 years. And that probably that really shaped me because it was during those, years that were important for change. So I think that was the most important one. And it really gave me the foundations for what I do now.
So you talked about kind of like, you played those sports, and after high school, you wanted to go, you wanted to go up north. And it's funny to hear you say that because, it's like, I don't know for other people, but for me, I think like Canada's like a few cities and then everything else is just like a barren wasteland with like small villages. And it's really funny.
Yeah, it's funny like when people say that because like I'm from Toronto. I live in Toronto and I went to a university in a town that was 3 hours away, and it was like so different. Like that was a little small town, but even on the way up there, there's so many different towns and there's so many different communities that are just all different in their own ways. And yeah, it's funny, me saying going up north out of the city. Meanwhile, I feel like a lot of people see Canada as it's just north in general. So yeah.
So like here in America, it's like north is cold, south is warm. Like, is it? I mean, I guess it's kind of the same aspect. Like as you go north, it gets colder and colder. But like, is it that kind of same thing in Canada, or is it just like, what's the kind of the separator? I guess if you talk about like north, south, east, and west.
Yeah. So north, it's definitely so. My grandma still lives in where the town that I went to school. So we compare weather all the time. And sometimes it gets to be like, I know you don't use Celsius, but it gets to be like 40 below up there sometimes in the winter. And then here it'll be just at zero maybe, or a little bit below. So it's like, it really does, the weather does change no matter where you are. But yeah, I know a lot of people kind of just see, Canada's just cold in general.
Yeah.
Which it can be pretty cold sometimes.
Yeah. When you did go further north to college, what was that experience kind of like? Did you still like incorporate your sports as far as just like recreation? Did you start doing more fitness instead of sports? How did that go?
Well, since I stopped doing sports competitively, like when I stopped doing competitive gymnastics, I had to kind of find some kind of outlet of what I could do to stay active. And I think for a lot of people, when they stop their sport, it's really easy to fall into a little bit of a low, because they're like, what am I supposed to do with all this time and energy? So that kind of hit me. But I just started doing, and I started it in high school, and then I carried on throughout the beginning of my schooling in university, just doing, random exercises, just getting familiar with the gym and familiar with the equipment in there, and just trying my best. I did have some previous experience with the training, the conditioning that I was doing at gymnastics, but we didn't really use weights. It was more just body weight stuff. But I think I did have a little bit of a shock when I first went away to school, because like, I joke about it now, I didn't even know how to cook a chicken. Like I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't really know how to do my laundry. So the whole lifestyle was completely different. And I did fall off a little bit. Eating out was no big deal to me. I would just pick up anything from anywhere. My health wasn't really a priority. It was kind of just like, okay, I have to get, these grades, and I have to go out with my friends, and I have to do this. But it wasn't like, oh, I should eat a vegetable maybe, or I should go for a walk or something. So yeah, it kind of took a turn there, but I ended up back on a path. I did a little bit of feels like I did like a little switch turned on.
What do you think kind of turned that switch on in your head?
I think probably just gradually learning more in my degree about how things actually affect you, and you can't just disregard your health. But also I started having a lot of like stomach issues, and I wasn't feeling the best. I had no energy. I wasn't sleeping well. So I decided that maybe I should be changing my habits, and I should be changing my ways and see if that helps. But yeah, just like my own research and my own knowledge and my own interest, I guess, into those things as it gradually built up. I think that's kind of what made the switch.
So you kind of went into school with sounds like at least with an idea of what you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I didn't, I knew that, because from the beginning, again, when I stopped the sports, that was kind of, I guess, my turning point. But I remember being, even in grade 8, I was like making my own fitness plans, making on my own workout plans from trying to Google things, or maybe that like random teen bot magazine that game or something. But I would show my friends, and they would be interested in it. They're like, oh, can you make me one and stuff? So I kind of had an idea of what I'm interested in, but honestly, I didn't really think that was really going to be my end career goal. I applied to do English at different schools too. At one school, I applied to do something like sports marketing or something, which, looking back on it now, I don't know what I was thinking, because I don't know much about that. But yeah, so at one point in university, I was thinking maybe I should just be a teacher, or maybe I should do like occupational therapy. So I think the main thing was that I wanted to help people, and that was just what was pushing me. And I was trying to figure out which path that led to.
So in Canada, do you have to like apply to your school based on what you want to do?
Yeah. So, well, you can apply to different programs, but you can also just apply as undeclared, I think they call it. So you just go in and you take random courses, and then I just figure out what you want to do. So yeah, I guess there's two options, but I don't know that many people that go in undeclared. I think people usually know,
Really?
I have an idea, but I know a lot of people who switch throughout their degree as well into other things. So
Okay, that does make sense. I think what confused me was just kind of like the vocabulary differences. It's really cool though, because you say you didn't know that many people that were like going in undeclared. And I guess in a way it's kind of the same here, but also I feel like more people don't know. Even if
Mhm.
they do say, "Oh, I want to go be this," it's like, "Oh, by the first semester, second semester, it's like, oh, I'm in something else." And that was
Yeah.
kind of my position, really. I kind of chose something based on a broad range of wanting to do something, and then I kind of
Mhm.
realized what I really wanted and switched it up. But yeah, it's really interesting. It seems like there it's more, or it's less people that are going in undeclared versus here, where it seems like there's at least a little bit more of that.
Yeah, that is interesting actually. I always thought about other places and if people, because you're so young when you have to choose this a path to go to, right? I know here you're either like 18, 19, and it's like, okay, find something that you want to do and go to there for however many years. So I think a lot of people, I'm actually surprised that not as many people, or maybe I didn't know as many people that went in undeclared.
What do you think motivated you? You said you kind of had like a switch go off in your head and you started to really, I guess, participate in a healthier lifestyle more. But what really was there some kind of like motivation that you had to be like, okay, this is what I want to achieve, or this is what I want to go towards?
Yeah, I think personally maybe the fitness side of it came at an earlier time in my life. Like I said, I was always interested in it. I was this kid making these like probably not very good workout plans for my friends. And then in university, same thing, just kind of here and there. But I think that the biggest switch for me was the mental aspect of fitness and living a healthy lifestyle. Before I was very strict with food and exercise, and I had a bad relationship with it. And I only did it because I was like, well, I want to look a certain way, or I was comparing myself to other people, or it was just like a trend exercising. And that was just it's not you don't feel good when you're in that kind of mindset in that spot. So recently, probably in the past couple years, there was a little bit of a switch from that mindset to now I'm doing it for myself and I'm doing it for my health and doing it because I like the way that I feel when I'm, moving my body and being active and eating whole foods and nourishing my body and just having a balanced lifestyle. So I think that was probably the bigger switch that happened.
And you kind of, I think, said it before, but that was with kind of just learning more through school and just understanding really what the benefits were and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I always say that it's weird because it's kind of like there's a science side to it, but then there's a mental side. And it's like the science side, why exercise is good for your health. You know why nourishing foods are good for your body. But we're kind of all like, oh, I'm fine. I get enough of it. I eat enough. It's fine. Whereas, and that's not really what motivates a lot of people. Whereas the mental side, when you are sleeping better, you're feeling better, your mood is better, just overall your energy levels are higher. I think that's what is a bigger motivator, I guess, for people.
I think social media can be helpful when it comes to that, but it's also obviously very potentially a negative place as well.
Yeah, social media, like you said, it's a great place to be. It's a great thing to have. It can be really educating, but I think it can also be hard for people to be on because, again, you're comparing yourself, you're intimidated by people who are, out there. If we're talking about fitness, people who are out there lifting super heavy things or running like a crazy amount, and you're just a beginner. But it's also hard because there's so many people out there because you can put anything on social media, right? So there's so many people out there that are not uneducated, but maybe don't have the specific knowledge or education or credentials to be putting information out there. And sometimes it is misleading or it's wrong. And I think it's easy to fall into those types of accounts or those types of that type of information. It's easy to follow because if you're a beginner, because you don't know what's right or what's wrong. So yeah, social media can be great, but you also just have to be careful what information you're intaking.
And did you find that like in high school, there was, even at like a base level, there was any decent information to be had about like taking care of yourself?
No. Yeah, not really. I mean, I took a personal fitness class so it was kind of like gym, but you also got to do more working out and more learning what the exercises are and stuff. But that was basically the extent of it. Even throughout university, I find there's a lot for mental health, which is amazing. There should be a lot for mental health. But I think that a lot of people forget that all your systems in your body are connected, and exercise and nutrition are huge, and they're huge contributors to your overall well-being and your mental health. So yeah, throughout my university, I kind of found there was a lack of just information, and also high school, there was just a lack of information, a lack of not pushing you to live a better, healthier lifestyle, but just help, I guess, if you wanted to. And that's something that also has kind of stuck with me, and something that I would like to do in the future would be to work with students of high school and college and university and just help them, because I think that's such a turning point for a lot of people. And I would love to just help them with fitness, nutrition, mental health, overall well-being, kind of lead them into a good path, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it seems like there's not that great information like we need about that, about taking care of ourselves regardless of where you go or who you hear from. It's insane, because it's like that should really be like the base foundation of an education. Like what's more important. It doesn't matter what you know if you're not healthy enough to apply it. So
Yeah.
taking care of yourself, I really think should at least be a bigger component of, maybe not a whole semester's length class, but maybe you just touch on it, building on it each year, on a segment on it each year, just kind of. And I think with health class throughout, like middle school, high school, grade school, whatever, it's you get that a little bit, but it's just not, to me, it's more scientific. It's less about a person than it is it's like numbers and charts and graphs and diseases and all that stuff, instead of like, hey, do this, do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And like I said, when it's science based, a lot of people tend to just turn their head because it's hard to understand. So yeah, I agree. We should have some sort of something that's some sort of class or course or whatever that's geared towards just helping people understand why it's so important to take care of yourself and put the effort in and invest your time and energy into it.
Yeah. So with that being said, like, what do you think it's something from your childhood? Do you think, what do you think it is that really makes health important to you?
I think it was probably, maybe it was the way that I was raised, or maybe it was because I was so active with gymnastics as a kid and a teenager. But I think that probably the biggest shift, that big shift that I was talking about, I think that came from when I was having a lot of dietary issues and stomach issues, and I just like was overall not feeling well. I think when I actually changed my lifestyle and I changed my habits, and I felt better and I was sleeping better and I had a better mood, I was like, oh, so this makes sense. I understand this connection. And then after that, I would be researching more and trying to learn more and go in depth about it. And then I would find something and I would put it into my, try it out in my life, and it would work. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's another one. Like, so I think it was kind of just that beginning. I know there's always there's like a saying that's, you don't know health until you're unhealthy, or you take it for granted when you're healthy, and then when you become sick or something is wrong, then you're like, oh yeah, I need to take better care of myself. So I think that's probably where it kind of, the big shift stemmed from as well.
Having those struggles, did you develop like some tricks, or not necessarily tricks, but things that you do to kind of keep yourself mentally on track?
Yeah. So I used to have, bad relationship with food and exercise. And I used to totally just disregard my mental health. Like I had bad coping strategies. I barely even had coping strategies. So I think since then I've really tried to develop ways that I help myself. And some of them would be, now since I have a better relationship with exercise, it's a huge one. If I'm typically, when I'm feeling frustrated or I'm having a bad day or whatever, when I go and work out, or I even just go for a walk or just get active somehow, afterwards I feel a lot better. And I think also probably the biggest one was just knowing and understanding that you're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have good days. Some days you're gonna feel like you can do anything. Some days you're gonna feel like you can only get out of bed or whatever it may be. And just understanding that it's okay to have both of those days. It's okay to not be okay, and trying to cope with it as best you can, and then moving on from it and not beating yourself up about it. But one of the things that I really liked doing at the beginning, when I was trying to navigate how I could help myself, help my mind, was I would try a whole bunch of things, try a whole bunch of different activities, yoga, meditation, painting, reading, whatever it may be. And then I would just journal and I would write down what I did that day and how I felt. And then so that I could go back and see, okay, so this activity actually made me feel really good, so I'm going to try that again the next time.
So like doing different things, trying new things, kind of getting your mind in a different space, you found kind of helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. I think a lot of times too, like even if you're enjoying what you're doing, it's important to find different things just to keep it fresh. Do you find yourself doing that, or do you kind of stick with the same routine a lot of times?
Well, I had this conversation not too long ago with someone, so it's funny. I before I was using the gym as an escape, or I was using exercise as an escape. And then when lockdown first happened last March, obviously everything shut down. And I know a lot of people who use the gym as an escape or a mental health tool were kind of just like, I have no idea what I'm going to do now. This is it, right? And I felt that way for a little bit. I was like, well, I kind of panicked and I thought, I don't know what to do. But so I took it upon myself to say, okay, from now on, first I'm going to try a whole bunch of different things, see what can help me. But from now on, I want to have two kind of mental health tools that I can just easily go to. And I think that one should be physical, and then one should be mental or creative, sort of. For the reason being, if, I always think if anything were to happen, I obviously knock on wood, but if I were to like break my ankle tomorrow and I can't go for a walk, I can't work out, at least I have something else, another tool that can help me with coping and with my mental health. So I think definitely switching it up, having different kinds, just in case you can't do one.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. It's because it's so easy to like get stuck in a community or a world of the same, doing the same thing and having like the same interest, and which is, it's okay, but it's risky too, because you don't want to become just a person that has that kind of experience or knowledge, or I think being kind of more well-rounded is important too.
Yeah, I agree for sure. That's why I use the term healthy, balanced lifestyle a lot, because that's what it is. It's a balance. It's working out and, crushing your goals and accomplishing what you want, being active, but also knowing that you can take a rest day and you can just relax. Or with food too, you're eating whole foods, you're eating good, nutritious foods, but you can also have your treat, or you can also have your burger, or whatever it may be. Just having that balance will lead to a happier, healthier lifestyle.
And you kind of mentioned, like earlier on, you mentioned holistic. Why is that something that is important to you?
I don't know if everyone might not be familiar with the term. So holistic health focuses on the whole person instead of just one specific area. So physical, mental, social, emotional, and then it is just understanding that all of those things work together to create an overall sense of well-being. And that's really important to me because, like I said, I dealt with a lot of health issues, I guess, and pretty much every doctor appointment that I was going to, it was like just a Band-Aid solution and you're done. And I wasn't getting any relief from my symptoms. So I was doing my own kind of research, and I was talking to other specialists, and they were able to give me more of an answer, because they were, I was saying that this symptom, or I have this symptom, and they were asking me something that I didn't even think was related, but it ended up being the solution. So I think that really interested me. And not to say that I don't believe in Western medicine. Of course, I will be going to the hospital if I need to, or things like that. A lot of the times it gets lost, I guess, that it's not just, your body is one whole thing. It's not your one system, and that's that. It's all connected. So I think that that's really why I enjoy it, and I want to pursue a career in that and just extend that knowledge to others.
The healthcare system, is it functioning at its peak, or is it really just becoming a system for peddling a lot of these medications out? And like you said, you're still going to go to the hospital if something happens, and you still want that care, and a lot of it's really good care. But to me, it's just like a backward system, like we talked about earlier. You get taught in school the scientific ways, and you get all that teaching, and but you don't get how to take care of yourself, and then later down the line you don't know how to do it, so you end up in the hospital, and you end up on these pills instead of someone teaching you early on, hey, get exercise, this is why, eat healthy, this is why.
Exactly. Yeah. There's the amount of people who are programmed, I guess, just from childhood to reach for pills no matter what is happening, is crazy. And I don't think that it's not their fault when that's how the world has been for so long. But I do think that now things are kind of changing a little bit, or maybe I just hope that they're changing. And I think that people are thinking, I have a headache. Instead of popping Advil right away, I'm going to, like, have I drank enough water today? Have I been eating enough? Am I on the screen too much? Have I gone outside? Have I been active? I think that they're kind of understanding that maybe that's the better approach to it. But yeah, I do think that there's still some people who are still programmed to only reach for the meds. Maybe I would have had that realization through my school or my education, if I maybe someone that I knew, if I was trying to help someone, but I really don't think that I would have actually realized how much the whole body is affected, or the systems are really connected, until I had my own health to deal with, and I was trying to fix my own health. So like you said, if you don't have that way to step back and really see the big picture, then it's hard to get out of that. I think that people, when they think about living a healthy lifestyle, they think, well, now I have to work out 6 days a week and I have to only eat, clean foods, and I can't have any cheat meals and stuff like that. But fitness and nutrition are very intimidating to people who haven't really experienced or haven't jumped into those kinds of things yet. And that's what I want to help people understand, that it's not as scary as it looks. All you really have to do is, nourish your body with the proper foods and move your body a little bit, and make sure you're taking care of your mental health as well. And I really am trying to promote that. I would love to just create a community where I can promote that, and people can ask me questions, or if they're really want to start living a better lifestyle or changing their habits, they're not scared to ask questions. I know a lot of my friends, they wouldn't even walk into the gym when we were at university, because they were just intimidated, and they were like, well, I can't do that. There's no way I can do it. And then we went together, or we would go together one time, and they're like, oh, this actually isn't as bad as I thought. Like, this is fun. This is, I like doing this. So I think, I just want to show people that you can do it, and you have so much potential to live healthy and happy. And it's not as complicated as the media or social media makes it seem.
If we could teach people from an earlier age, it wouldn't be intimidating, because it's just, it would be the way it would be, but you also wouldn't have to make drastic changes to see those results you want to see, because you're just within it. It's when you're 40 or 50 years old and you're overweight and you want to make a change, it feels like, oh, I have to get this done in 3, 6, 9, whatever months, a year.
Yeah.
And then at that point, if you want that kind of goal, yes, you probably do have to make a crazy commitment. But if you weren't put in that position in the first place, if you had that information and you acted on it all along, you would really, you would be able to see that it's just not, like, it's not something that you have to do to that level if you just stick, if you start out doing it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, I think if we start implementing this into schools, or, I mean, maybe you don't have to start super young, with super young children. I mean, it would be great if you could, but even I think if you implement it in high school or beginning years of university or college, I think that can, because that's that's an age where I feel like you're basically a sponge, right? And you just want to keep up with the trends. And if that's what everyone's doing, then you're going to do it too. It's really sad, because I still see so many people on social media they're still thinking that eating bread and eating pasta is a bad thing, and they just shouldn't do it. Or they haven't had a cookie in like 3 months, because they're like, well, I can't, because it's just going to mess up all of my progress.
5 or 10 years down the road, what do you see yourself doing in that time frame?
Well, the end goal, I guess, would be having my own wellness center that has fitness, nutrition, mental health aspect, just helping people, again, change their habits and create a healthier, sustainable lifestyle. And for like, I don't, it's like these services are out there, but the amount, it's like you walk in the door and it's $200, and it's like people can't afford that. So I definitely want it to be something that people can afford, or maybe somehow it can be a free service. I know there's some government grants or government, business initiatives and stuff like that can fund those things. But yeah, I think that would be a really cool thing to do. That's probably like the end goal. But again, I talked about working with university students, and I think that would probably be my next step of something that I want to do. Working with high school students, university students, or I think the States uses college as just a broad term. Okay, yeah. But anyways, working with students, just helping them with that shock, I guess, of going and living by yourself, or just trying to balance it all, and with keeping your health as a priority as well as school and social, just kind of everything on the same level, and just making sure that you are putting yourself first. So yeah, I think that would be my next step, but I think the long range would definitely be wellness center. And then I really want to do some traveling. Maybe I can even be spreading my message while I travel.
Just seeing how other people do it and getting to take away stuff that they do.
Definitely. I mean, this is a small example, but I'm gluten-free, and the products that we have, well, before I went to Spain, the products that we had for gluten-free were not very good, or they were like double the price of what the regular product would be. But when I went to Spain, it was like, there's gluten-free cafes everywhere. If you go to a restaurant, there's always gluten-free options. I was in Madrid, so it might be different in smaller places, but I was just shocked at the amount of, they just seem like so much more advanced than we were in that specific area. So, but yeah, going back to everything being so different wherever you are in the world, it's just, that's one of the reasons why I love traveling, is because you just get to see so many different things and different people and interact with people. And yeah, it's really cool.
It's definitely an ongoing battle, but yeah, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. It was really fun. I really enjoyed having a conversation, and like you said, it's nice, just talking to someone from a different place. I mean, right now I'm just talking to my family and friends because we're in lockdown. So it's nice having a different person to talk to and create that connection from all over the place. Thanks so much again. It was really fun.
Yep. And thank you.